What is up, guys? JT Anime Nerd here, bringing you all that nerdy goodness. Today we're gonna go over my spoiler review for episode 2 and 3 of the live-action One Piece on Netflix. Now, before I get on with this review, I know I neglected the Luffy flashbacks in my first review. To be honest, I was taken by the present story so much that the flashback just flew over my head as I was writing that script. But to simplify things, I thought the flashback was amazing, showing us how Luffy ate the Gum Gum fruit, Shanks' personality. It was just incredible, edible. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on to the review. Now, when it comes to episode 2, we end up seeing the rest of Luffy's flashback, showing how Luffy ate his promise to Shanks after Luffy was saved from being eaten by a Sea King, which also ate Shanks' arm, but due to trying to save Luffy. I also love the parallel they do when it comes to Luffy's hat, making the viewer feel like it's a stupid thing to worry about until you finally see the end of the flashback. It was really well done. I do have to say, if I had a slight nitpick in this episode, I would say it's Buggy's crew. Now, Buggy's introduction in this episode is spot on. I really love whoever they casted as Buggy, Buggy the Clown, but I felt his crew could have still kept their parts in the original story. The two members in particular are the Lion Tamer, I can't ever remember what his name is, and Kabaji. I know that when it comes to Netflix, they have a limited budget, but for one thing, if they can animate a full blown Sea King like they did in Luffy's flashback, they can animate a giant lion. So I'm not too worried about Chopper's introduction when it comes to season 2, which I firmly believe they are not going to pass up. Second, I truly think that they definitely could have recreated the duel between Zoro and Kabaji, but like I said, those are just nitpicks. This episode is still incredible without them. Something else I actually love about this episode is the development on the marine side of things. We start to see how seriously Garp takes things, especially when it comes to pirates, even giving hints of his connection to Luffy in these moments. Even the small moments of Kobe's development as a marine is incredible to me, not hesitating to tell Garp the truth about his adventures with Luffy. These moments really show just what kind of people Garp and Kobe are, and it had me begging for more, even though these moments did kind of feel like a sideline story. Now, I just gotta say that when it comes to Shanks' crew members, I wasn't the biggest fan of them until I saw One Piece film Red, because we actually got to see a bit of the kind of power they had, but compared to when they were introduced, which it just seemed like they were basic pirates. However, in the live action series, I loved their introduction more than in the anime. The fight they had with the opposing pirates gave me more or of them in action, which is one of the things I've been waiting for in Shanks' crew for a long time. Now, another one of the best parts about episode 2 is the CGI. As I mentioned before, the live action Sea King was incredible, despite the stock sounds it made, because I recognized one of its roars as the T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park. But either way, the Sea King was still awesome. But not just him, Luffy and Buggy's powers were also on incredible display in this episode. To see either Gum Gum Bazooka and Chop Chop Cannon in action was just phenomenal to me. Now let's get back to Buggy, who I mentioned was casted phenomenally. Props to the actor playing Buggy the Clown. The balance between his demented and comical side was so incredible that I actually felt like I was watching a clown from a horror movie, at least when things got serious. I mean, the guy destroys the island's town and takes the townspeople as a slave audience for his circus show. That makes a crazy and incredible clown villain, in my opinion. What of course cements this episode is the scene where Luffy makes his promise to Shanks to become king of the pirates. An iconic scene that was made perfectly by the cast and crew, as well as being my favorite scene in the whole episode. The episode, of course, ends with the hint of Nami's future story arc, having her call someone in secret, no doubt someone from the Arlong Pirates, as it's never explicitly stated who she called. All in all, I give this episode an honest 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was epic. Now let's get on to episode 3, where we're introduced to Usopp, the marksman of the Straw Hat Pirates. While they were minimal, I did find Usopp's backstory to be emotional enough where it didn't feel forced. The scene where he loses his mother is truly heartbreaking, taking from Usopp's point of view, and and it just goes to show how seriously the writers take these backstories. Now, I also gotta say that I love the accuracy when it comes to the source material, such as Luffy making his horrible Jolly Roger flag. One of the other things I love about this episode is how Luffy found the Going Merry. It made me feel almost as much emotion as it did when we had to say goodbye to the Going Merry in the Enies Lobby arc of the anime, because it was almost as if the Going Merry spoke to Luffy, which she kind of did in that story arc, but it almost gave you that same vibe when Luffy found it in the live action series. Now, one thing I wasn't expecting in this episode was having Buggy and Arlong's stories interconnecting, which was something that wasn't in the anime, but I really enjoyed nonetheless. I feel like doing that really puts a spin on the live action version, making it so it doesn't have to follow exactly what the anime did, because if you want to attract more of an audience, you got to give them something unexpected and something that's not that they're not gonna be able to predict so easily. Another aspect of this episode I really liked was the scene where Kobe and Garp were playing a game with each other. I don't know what the game's called, but I like how it was meant to represent how a Marine should act in the field, similarly to in the game. It feels like an incredible foreshadowing for Kobe in future seasons, depending on how long this live action anime runs, which I hope is a long time. Now on to the villains of episode 3, being of course Kuro and two of the Black Cat pirates, Bucci and Sham. I gotta say I love Bucci and Sham's dynamic. They I don't know if they kept uh the sibling relation intact, because I know in the anime they were two brothers, but here they kind of act like an old married couple, well, without actually being married. In fact, I wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to change that route, considering they Enderbent and Sham. Uh, but at the same time, I know it wouldn't have been necessary. Eh. But of course, the real standout villain is Captain Kuro, also known as Kuro of the Thousand Plans. Instead of building up to a big public battle, the arc surrounding Kuro really had a sense of mystery behind it, to the point where you forget this is a shonen story, which is a good twist for a live action anime, in my opinion. Now, I know I haven't mentioned Kaya much. That's really because she feels a bit like a bland character to me, but I did love her interactions with Usopp and even Nami when Kaya caught her stealing from her. One twist I didn't see coming was actually killing off Mary. In the anime, he survives to get if the Straw Hats the Going Merry ship, but in this interpretation, they actually have the guts to kill him off, which I have to say is probably both one of the most unnecessary, but at the same time, pretty great twist, if that even makes sense. Also, am I the only one who thought Luffy walking on the table during his speech at dinner was incredible? I just got a thing for going against etiquette. Fancy manners has never been my forte. Now, when it comes to Usopp's character, I enjoy him so much. Even if he's not the most useful crew member, he really knows how to get a laugh out of me. With everything that's happened, this episode ends on a cliffhanger, making this a two-part story arc. Ultimately, Luffy ingests poison soup, which was meant for Kaya. Zoro is knocked out by the Black Cat pirates and tossed down a well with Mary's body. Usopp's on his own due to his boy cried wolf routine, but a silver lining shows as Kobe and a unit of Marines at his side are ready to aid Usopp. In the end, this episode was pretty good in my opinion. Not the best, but still incredible. So I give this episode a rating of 6 out of 10 for me, due to the lack of action in it. If you guys enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and put down in the comment section below on what you guys loved about this episode, or just the whole series in general if you want. With all that said and done, I'm JT Anime. I'll check you guys later.